Welcome to ECHA Career Event. I'm Lucia Matilla. I'm one of the hosts today for this event. I'm working in the agency in the team of development and well-being in the Human Resources Unit. I'm originally from Spain, but I have been living here in Helsinki and working in ECHA almost for 17 years now. I'm very happy to have you all here today. We have a lot of information to provide you with. We want to tell you what is to work here at ECHA. What are we working with? What are our selection process? What tips could you get from us to succeed? And we will also provide you with information about traineeships. How is it to get a traineeship here? In addition, we want to show you real experiences, and we will have a panel discussion with current trainees and former trainees that are currently working with us, and they will share with you their experience, what they have learned, and what they are enjoying with us. During the whole event, we have Slido. Slido is a tool that will allow you to interact directly with us. And already now it's available and it's open for you. There we will have questions for you that you will find right now, 3 questions open. So just scan the QR code. I hope you can see it on the screen. And yes, now I see that it is coming there on the screen. So yes, you have the QR code there, scan it, and that will take you to the Slido website. There are 3 polls. And I think I'm very curious to see what are where are you coming from, and more things about you. So the first poll, let's see if you have had already time to go there, and we can see where are you connecting from. Let's see. Okay, so I see many people are connecting already, and many people, of course, from Finland. We are here in Finland, in Helsinki. I see people from Spain, Brussels, Austria, Berlin. Wow, many places all over Europe, Germany, Italy. Welcome, everyone. We are super happy to have such a great variety with us. Thank you for joining. And then I'm also, I'm working on what is well-being and trying to help colleagues to feel good and happy here at ECHA, at our workplace. So I'm also curious to see the people who are connecting, how do they feel? Oh, okay, that's fun. Good. I see some people have some rain, happy. This is quite, some are the same a bit, or okay, quite a variety, but I see it's big majority you are feeling happy and great. That's good to hear. And I think you will match quite well with us here in ECHA and also with Finland, because the third question or the third poll we have at the moment is, let's see, is if you know for how many times Finland has been the happiest country in the world. So let's see, it has been for 8th time the happiest country in the world. So I think that says a lot, and it impacts very much on our organization and the way we are all here together. So, okay, most of you knew about it, so that's great to hear that you also know a lot about Finland. Okay, so thanks. It is really nice to interact with you, to have you here. And I think I'll not take more space for this intro, and I want to invite my colleague Istvan to join me as well. He will give you a bit of an introduction on ECHA, what we do here. Istvan, do I forget something?
Thank you, Lucia, for kicking off the event. It's very nice of you. Maybe we can also mention to our viewers today that already, if you go to Slido now, we have placed the questions on the feedback to us. So if for whatever reason you would need to leave the event through the hour what we have saved for this event, we would still like you to provide us feedback so we can make this event even better for the future. So, with that, let's get started on who we are and what we do at ECHA. I would also like to introduce myself just quickly. So my name is István Mák. I'm originally coming from Hungary, but been living in Finland now close to 20 years, which feels like forever. And similarly to Lucia, I have been part of this organization for a long, long time. For me, it's only 15 years, not like for her. She's a couple years ahead of me with that. But throughout this time, I actually had the possibility to try out myself in many different areas. So I have worked with process and product development, worked with IT development, worked with support, providing support for stakeholders. And for the last almost 2 years, I've been working with stakeholder engagement in the communications unit. And I think that's enough about me for now, and let's get started about ECHA. So some basic facts about us and our organization. The agency has been founded in 2007 with the entry into force of the REACH regulation, which is the European Union's groundbreaking very big chemicals legislation. It has changed a lot about how industry, how the authorities have dealt with chemicals legislation. And since then, a lot of other countries around the world has actually found that our REACH regulation is working very well and have more or less copied what we have been doing here in the EU. Ever since 2007, the European Commission has tasked us with many more different tasks. So by now, we're also dealing with biocides. For example, as we all learned during the pandemic years, we all use hand sanitizers to clean our hands. We also work with export and import of certain dangerous chemicals and many other tasks. One of the latest ones are related to, for example, chemicals that get in touch with drinking waters when they are in the pipes getting to your home. With the establishment of ECHA, we have created here a hub for chemical safety because we are bringing around 600 colleagues from 28 different European countries to Helsinki. So it is a very diverse, very international environment that we are working in. And on the map that you can see on the slide, we have marked with a nice yellow bubble where our building is. It's right next to the old shipyard. It's still functioning as a shipyard. And we have, from some parts of the building, we have very nice view over the bay. Moving on, if you have joined us already a couple minutes before the event actually started, you have seen a couple slides, not just us, the speakers for today, but also the 2 slides about our vision and purpose. So maybe not spending too much time on it, but I think it's important to say that, especially in the current climate, I feel very strongly about our vision, that we're working for chemical safety through science, collaboration, and most importantly, knowledge. And of course, our purpose of protecting health and the environment through our work for chemical safety is very important for us. But how do we actually do this? So the work of chemical safety in the EU is essentially divided into 3 separate actors. The starting point is the companies. They are the manufacturers or the importers of these chemicals. And they have a regulatory obligation to provide a lot of information on what they are manufacturing or importing into the EU. That information arrives to us here in Helsinki. And together with some of the national authorities, we do a lot of check on this information. So with that, we identify harmful chemicals, and through our work, we propose ways how to regulate these harmful chemicals. There are many ways we work. Some of the work what we're doing are done in committees where we have experts nominated to us from member states. And also we work very closely with national authorities who do the enforcement of the regulations. Once we do our part, we provide all these scientific information to the European Commission, who together with the member state take any potential final decision on how to regulate these specific chemicals. They are the ones responsible for policies and any laws. Just to provide you a couple examples on what we have worked throughout the last couple of years. On the first image, you see a person with some very nicely designed tattoos. We have had a large restriction on chemicals that are put into tattooings, which entered into force in 2022. This restriction has placed limitations on the use of more than 4,000 chemicals in the tattooings that are used. This is very important because the tattooing that's put into your skin stays with you forever. And it can cause skin allergies, in rare occasions even cancer. But in any case, it could potentially be dangerous. So now, since 2022, it's a little bit safer to use tattoos thanks to some of the work what we have done. On the second picture, you see an artificial football pitch, which represents the work that we have done on the microplastic restrictions. So since 2023, when these restrictions entered into force, it is forbidden to add intentionally added microplastic to products that are sold in the EU. This includes cosmetics, detergents, or as in the picture shows it, the filler that was used in the artificial pitches. And with this, we are estimating that somewhere around 500,000 tons of microplastic released to the environment can be avoided throughout the next 20 years. And the last image that I put on this slide to show a little bit what we're doing is about the group of substances called PFAS. We are very much working on it, and it's probably the biggest restriction work that we have ever worked on. We don't yet know when we're gonna be able to finalize this, but these substances, these are man-made substances which can be found pretty much anywhere where it's needed to have water repellent properties or non-stick properties. And this includes your raincoat, your frying pan, potentially cosmetics, or anything else. The problem with these substances is that it takes almost literally forever for them to disappear. We're talking about thousands of years. Therefore, they accumulate in nature, in the water bodies, in your body, and can cause a lot of big problem to your health and to the environment. So now we're working on a restriction proposal to make Europe and potentially a little bit the whole world safer for all of you. But with this, we reached the end of what I wanted to talk to you about today, and I hope you got a little glimpse into what we are doing at ECHA, how we are working here, and now I would like to invite Joachim on the stage, who will then talk to you about working at ECHA. So,
exactly.
Joachim, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Istvan, and thank you also for the introduction on ECHA and to share a bit more on what we do and why we do it. I will be continuing this with giving a bit more information on how to apply at ECHA and how you basically arrive here. But first of all, just to introduce myself, my name is Joachim Grison. I work as a team leader for career and performance management here in the HR unit here at the European Chemicals Agency. I've joined ECHA and also started living in Finland 5 years ago, and it has been a wonderful time so far. So happy to dive into the work together with you. So let's have a look. First of all, I want to share a bit more about ECHA. So we're based in Helsinki since 2007. And ECHA works to protect health and the environment through its work for chemical safety. But of course, the key ingredient of all this is working together. And it is this collaboration that expresses itself in many ways. First of all, through clear communication. We also have a set of shared goals. We try to have mutual trust and respect for each other. We learn from our failures, and of course, we also try to celebrate our successes. ECHA is a truly multicultural organization, with nationals from 28 countries from the EU and the European Economic Area, the EEA, as we say. ECHA unites staff and their cultures from all parts of the European continent. then ECHA also prides itself on the fact that we have a lot of diversity and diverse backgrounds. In that sense, we employ staff from different backgrounds, such as educational levels. It can also be about work experiences, different abilities, personality types, ages, genders, but also having different perspectives on how things could be done and how science could be implemented. Then lastly, we also work together in a multidisciplinary way. We bring together scientific and non-scientific staff from many different disciplines, and we also ask them to collaborate and cross-pollinate their know-how to ensure the best outputs for society. When you join ECHA, you're not only joining the European Chemicals Agency physically here, but you're also joining a larger family. A family of EU institutions, 52 to be exact at this point, 52 institutions and agencies all over Europe working on different aspects of citizens' lives. I'm sure you're wondering, but which are these areas? Well, I will tell you. First of all, it's about citizens' protection in many ways, for example, justice or policing. There's also digital connectivity. There's energy, there's innovation, there's transportation, there's food safety, there's many more, basically. We are most appreciative of our host country, Finland. As you've heard already, Finland has been voted the happiest country in the world for the 8th time. Not only is this characterized by a high quality of life, there's also a big trust in society and government. There's also a nature that, and I can guarantee you that awes in every season. Furthermore, the Finnish work culture is characterized by a very healthy balance between work and leisure. You've also heard in the meantime that we are based in Helsinki. Helsinki is also one of the most livable cities in the EU. We have a very good wide range of social services. We have splendid public transportation, and it is experienced by many as very safe. And then lastly, we're here to talk about ECHA. And ECHA has a very nice modern set of offices in the heart of Helsinki. There are many workplace facilities, such as a gym and a state-of-the-art conference center, and we do many efforts to strive and reduce our climate impact as an organization through various measures. We also review and redesign our office spaces to accommodate the staff's needs to optimally deliver and perform every day. Then now let's talk about employee experience and commitment. Our employees have repeatedly indicated through our staff survey that they experience ECHA as a very good employer. And as a result of those staff surveys, we've also been voted ECHA as one of Finland's most inspiring workplaces in the last 4 years. And of course, I can just say this, but I can give you also a handful of reasons or highlights why working at ECHA would be a good choice. And first of all, it's about meaningful work. We clearly see a tangible impact of our work on the daily lives of citizens, which is already a very nice thing to have. We're doing something positive for people, for the environment, and for human health. Next, there is also a clear focus on employee well-being. There is attention to mental health, there's attention to well-being, and this goes through various courses, through various presentations, through mentoring, coaching, and action plans that we have in place to ensure steps forward. Staff also has the opportunity to telework up to 3 days per week, and this then again, of course, ensures a healthy work-life balance overall. Now, the nice thing about ECHA is as well that staff does not only enjoy these specific things, no, they actually commit themselves to go a step further, and they organize elements and clubs basically in ECHA to do more. So there is a choir, there is a rowing club, there is a coffee club, and there is a staff club also organizing a summer, winter, and other after-work parties. Now, we also want to highlight here a few things on the topic of diversity. At ECHA, we honor inclusivity and diversity. And not only do we see embracing diversity as a duty as a public organization. No, we see it as crucial to the agency's success every day. We regard diversity as a source of enrichment, as a source of creativity, and as a source of innovation for the organization. And I can give you some examples on how we actually bring that diversity to ECHA. First of all, through various awareness campaigns. There is training on inclusive language. There was an event in 2023 which also won an award called Leadership Insights for Women Managers. And we also adopted a charter, which you can find on our website, which also shows the specific goals and actions that we have planned to ensure concrete steps forward on the topic of diversity. And with this, I of course hope that I've convinced you that ECHA is an equal opportunity employer and also has the value of its people in the main site. Now, probably you've been wondering, how about then these opportunities of working at ECHA? Well, I will tell you about it. First of all, there are opportunities for interims. These come through ECHA via service providers. These you can also find on our website, and this is about short-term assignments. We also have paid traineeships, around 40 per year, to which you can also register. A good thing to mention here already is that these traineeships are now open for applications, so we do recommend you applying for those if interested. We also employ a limited number of seconded national experts. These are experts from the public sector that work in the field of ECHA, which we invite to exchange know-how and again cross-pollinate and exchange information. Then our biggest pool of staff is statutory staff. So the biggest pool there, and these have 3 to 5 year contracts, which can be extended and ultimately become indefinite contracts. We'll go a bit more in depth later there. Staff has also opportunities to give their career a new direction. So they can actually apply to other roles to further their career throughout their career here. And then there's interagency opportunities. So even if you at one point would leave our agency, there's opportunities to work at other institutions, other EU agencies, and further your career there, often with the continuity even of your contract. At this point, I also want to highlight that we have currently a lot of jobs open. We have the 16 traineeships, which I already mentioned. There is a role for a seconded national expert in the field of biocides. We have a role or jobs for scientific officers in the field of toxicology. And then lastly, we also have an interagency opportunity for a procurement officer. Now, just a few highlights from this slide. I think it's really important to highlight that we have international experience and an international network to offer when you come here. There are a lot of professional development opportunities and career perspectives. I mentioned already the fun social events. You will hear about those more later. And then we have competitive salaries and benefits next to a healthy work-life balance. Now, if you still wonder, why do we want you? It's because we want diversity at all levels of the organization. And we invite you to bring your diversity here to our organization. We need staff in many different fields, from biology, chemistry, toxicology, IT, HR, finance, legal, you name it, and we probably have a suitable role for it. But of course, I could, as you can hear, could go on talking forever, but I will not do so. I will actually let you not take my word for it, but we'll listen to some messages from our colleagues and let them convince you. Thank you.
The first day that I arrived, a colleague already knocked on my door and introduced herself. The first day that I arrived, a colleague already knocked on my door and introduced herself, and she basically adopted me.
We are like around 600 people in the house, quite diverse bunch of people, quite buzzing, and yeah, it's motivating.
When I enter here in the morning, I feel like my brain of the outside world of my day-to-day life is put aside. Inside of here is like entering a city. I think of really a community of diversity where you connect and you talk to others and you learn from others.
I'm extremely passionate about the fact that I can share my scientific knowledge in a regulatory environment, and that's not an opportunity that many have.
You can walk into your management or into your head of unit or line management, and then you can ask any question or you can ask for any support. And this is something that made me feel really at ease.
When I got in charge of a project, I was very nervous about it. I asked my manager, "But what if I make something wrong? What if something happens?" And she said, "Then you learn."
I'm passionate about chemistry. I don't know all of the chemistry, which is actually the beauty of it, because I'm also curious. I want to learn more. It's a fantastic place to learn. You have so many experts here that you will likely not find anywhere else, especially with such a diverse background.
You get to see the latest developments in chemical sciences. You get to see where the new chemicals are being made and how they are being used. It's a great place to really sort of fulfill my curiosity.
ECHA offers a wide series of trainings which are not specifically only to the scientific area you're working on. You might learn more about others, for instance, for me, toxicology. And at the same time, there are internal professional career opportunities which allow you also to challenge yourself in a slightly different position. We have mentoring programs which allow you also to see yourself in the future, to project you towards a certain role.
We want to develop our competencies. We want people to stay, at the top of their game. So as an organization, we support that.
ECHA is a big organization, really multicultural environment, and it allows me to explore different cultures, how people would approach problem solving or discussions.
You don't have only the multicultural aspect, but a multidisciplinary. So I come to the office and I have scientists, technical colleagues, IT, and you can learn so much from each other.
We can work part of the days at the office, part of the days at home, which has really helped improve the kind of work-life balance.
We have mechanisms such as the staff committee, which represents the interests of staff and makes sure that everybody is equally represented and treated. We have confidential counselors who you can talk to whenever there might be a problem with a colleague or with a manager. We have also a strong diversity and inclusion network. For instance, I am a part of the LGBTIQ community, and there is a Rainbow Hub, which is a group of people who talk about inclusivity of the rainbow community in the work environment.
At ECHA, there are many different clubs for different interests. For example, if you're a sport person, there is a floorball club, and if you prefer singing or playing music, there is the choir or the ECHA band.
I am a person who loves sports, for instance, and I would never think that I can do many more outdoors activities in Helsinki that I would do home. There are great indoor facilities for doing even beach volley when outside there is snow.
You can be yourself in Helsinki. You don't need to think how you look like, because people don't pay attention to this. People only care on who you are.
You get everything that a capital can give you, so all the cultural offer, all the nice restaurants, all the cool things to do, but at the same time, you're really immersed into nature.
What made me really stay in ECHA is, apart from the diversity and the culture and the collaboration with colleagues, I think it's the mission to protect people and the environment.
The greatest value of employees who work here or of whoever applies is when there is a personal feature in what you do. We look for people who take part of a team and complement it. And the individual value of each member of a team, it is something which is extremely valued at ECHA.
Come to Finland. It's the happiest place in the world. Already, I think it's the 4th or 5th year. But, if you really believe in the EU project like I do, come help. You can make a difference.
That is quite touching, at least for me. Knowing my colleagues is quite. They are telling me that perhaps you are not hearing me yet. Okay, yes. So I was just saying that it's quite touching to hear the colleagues, speaking such messages.
Yes.
Wow. I bet some of the people in the audience now, they are really curious and they want to know more on how to apply to work here with us. Joachim, take us through it.
And I absolutely hope so, that we sparked some interest on how to apply here and what does it mean to work with us. And I will, we've seen this, so I will just share the right slide. I've prepared a little visual for this, as I knew this question was coming, just to also give the people that are more visually oriented a bit the idea that what are we talking about. And first of all, I must recognize, Lucia, when we look at this slide, of course, we do see that it looks like quite an impressive process, but it shouldn't be intimidating. There's nothing to worry about. We will take you through and you will see that actually it's quite okay.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. It's long.
Absolutely. It looks long, but it is not per se that long. Okay. And first of all, I can already guarantee for the people at home, indeed, this is not for the trainee. So if you're thinking about applying for a traineeship, don't worry about it. This is not your process. This is for our statutory staff, the biggest pool of staff, as I earlier indicated. So this is particularly for trainees. So for trainees, we will have a look at the different process. There will be more information coming soon on that. But for sure, I can already say to apply for a traineeship, it's only about an application letter and an interview, so not this
simplified process.
Yes,
okay,
exactly.
And this one is for the ones you were mentioning before, 3 to 5 years contract and possibility to become permanent.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Indeed. And I can also already say that this entire process here is done fully remote. So there's no need to come to Helsinki here and join us here, but we can also go through the various steps and go there.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's go. So with what do we start? With the vacancy notice?
Yes, the vacancy notice. Very important document. So basically, this is the description of the job, saying what will be the process to apply, what the job contains, which responsibilities you could have, and what your prospects are here at ECHA. So that's the very first step, yes.
So key document to be saved and followed.
Absolutely,
okay.
Yes. And this will help you throughout the selection process to see what is next and what will I be assessed on. So what qualities or requirements will be there.
Okay.
So usually we publish the vacancy notice for around 3 to 5 weeks. Online, there's many platforms. I will go into that a bit later as well. And then there is the application. So just to flag to you all that there will be 3 main steps, let's say, to apply.
Okay.
First of all, there's your application, so your CV that you submit to us. Secondly, there will be a written test. And lastly, there is also an interview. And that then could bring you ultimately to a reserve list here at ECHA.
Okay, so those steps and all remotely.
Yes. So when you submit your application, there will be a necessity to do an eligibility check. So we check, are you eligible for this role specifically? What does eligibility mean? I see you thinking, Lucia.
Yeah,
well, I will tell you.
I get it like, okay, some limitations, some can
Indeed.
pass, some cannot. Okay.
Exactly. So there are some basic requirements which everyone that wants to apply for a certain role needs to have in place, let's say. So it could be, for example, the EU nationality or the European Economic Area nationality. Okay. It could be about having a good knowledge and good command of English, because this is our working language. So just to know that when you come to work at ECHA, you would be working in your daily work in English. But then there may also be some academic or work experiences required just to join us, basically, or for a specific role.
So, for example, in my case, I'm Spanish, so I'm national from Spain. I speak Spanish. Yes. I speak as well English. So there I have those check boxes. And I remember also when I applied, I had to have university degree.
Exactly.
And that is also one of the minimum requirements.
Depending on the role, yes.
Yes.
Indeed. What is for sure a minimum requirement is the 2 languages, as you mentioned. So English as the working language, and then 1 other EU language you need to have in place.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So when you meet the eligibility criteria, then you also go to the CV assessment. So that's then the next step. So we check first if you meet the requirements, then we take you to the CV assessment. In that assessment, we of course then have, it's a comparative exercise as we name it. So basically that means that we check if you are better than the other candidates in terms of work experience, in terms of academic degrees that you have, and all other elements that you bring forward in your CV.
Okay, so you do a bit of a ranking.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And then there is the feedback to candidates that, yes, you passed the screening, the CV screening, or you have not passed it. And then you can go on to the written test and ultimately also the interview.
So the communication is sent to both, to the ones who go to the interview or are invited to the interview, but also to those who didn't pass it.
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
And that ultimately then, of course, leads to a reserve list, as you know.
And I bet for them it might be a bit unknown. What is a reserve list?
Good that you ask, Lucia. So a reserve list doesn't automatically mean that you will be hired here at ECHA. It means that the panel judged that you actually have the right skill set, the right motivation, the right knowledge and experience to join ECHA. However, we still need to find you a suitable role in the future. So the validity of the reserve list is for 1 to 2 years, depending on the role, and can also be extended. So throughout that period, we might have vacancies to fill, vacant jobs that we have, and then we go and look at the reserve list. Which person is a suitable profile? So we go again to your CV, we have a look, what have you done? How did you impress us in the interview, in the written test? And then from there, we might offer you an actual role.
Okay, so then when people apply for a position, the goal already a lot is to get into the reserve list.
Absolutely, that is the main thing for sure.
Okay, good. So now we have that all the process, the road gone through, and I think now perhaps some tips that you could give them, like what in this first step, the application.
Yes, so some tips and tricks here indeed to how to apply. First of all, you need to ensure that you know about the job, because if you don't know about it, for sure, the chances of applying for it will be low. We publish our vacancy notice for 3 to 5 weeks, as I said, on our website. There's also an ECHA newsletter to which you can subscribe, and you can even specifically subscribe to job notifications per email. So please do that after you see. But we also use many different channels, from LinkedIn, ResearchGate. For students, we use Job Teaser. So we try to inform you as good as possible with all means that we have to make sure that you hear at least about the vacancy notice.
And how long is the vacancy notice published, like available there so that people can apply normally?
So usually about 3 to 5 weeks.
Okay.
That would be, yes. Then we would really recommend reading the vacancy notice thoroughly, because first of all, the eligibility criteria, if you're not eligible, we cannot let you through to the next stage. So we also don't want you to have invested unnecessary time to this process.
Yeah.
Secondly, there are selection criteria. So basically, we tell you on what you will be assessed through the various stages of the selection. There is also a guide of applicants, and there may also be documents linked in the vacancy notice that can help you to have further information about the role, about the job, about how ECHA fits into that, or how that role fits into ECHA more precisely.
And can they just submit whatever CV, or is there a structure there already?
Good that you ask. There is a structure, so there is an e-recruitment tool, so you just log into that tool, and then you answer the questions that we have for you. You also check the boxes that indeed you are eligible, so we help you also to identify this eligibility, and then from there you can submit it. We also recommend reserving sufficient time to do that, and also not to do it last minute. If you would have any connectivity issues whatsoever, that you still can apply
That's
on time.
a good advice, I think, for life in general.
For life in general, yes.
Not to leave it for the last minute. You never know.
Can I do one more?
Yes,
one more
go.
tip. Yes, we would really recommend to provide details and examples. For example, I will make it very concrete. We have a current ongoing toxicology call, so a scientific officer toxicology. And in the vacancy notice, we say, please provide expert opinions, or make sure that, or tell us how you have been providing expert opinions on toxicology.
Yeah.
So you could say that, hey, I've been a toxicology manager. They can deduct from the job title that I have done this. We can't. So we can only see what you have read, and we can only draw conclusions from that. Secondly, it's not sufficient just to tell then in the description, I've been providing expert opinions on toxicology, because anyone could write that. So what we want to hear is that how often have you been doing that? In what context have you been doing that? Who has been involved in that? So that gives the panel actually a very clear picture that, okay, this is this person's experience. I think this is a suitable person to work here at ECHA. Yeah. And then that's how you pass the CV screening stage.
Okay, so to highlight your relevance with examples.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, and I'm also, if you don't have the exact experience, is there any possibility these transferable skills?
Good point, yes. Because of course, imagine you have expert opinions, you have experience in drafting expert opinions on another matter. You can still mention that as a transferable skill that maybe I don't have in this exact field, but I have been doing A, B, and C, which is actually very similar and which I think can also count as a useful experience in that field. So that way you can also convince the panel that, yes, I do have the necessary qualities to do this.
Yeah, so then make it easy for the panel to identify that.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, so I think anything else from the application, or should we move to
I think we
the
can
next?
move on, yes. So then there's the written test.
Go for it.
There you go, okay. So first of all, the written test, you will receive an invitation. Every invitation you receive from us contains clear information on what to expect and how to prepare for it. The test is usually 1 to 1.5 hours, and it's fully remote. So even for this, you don't need to leave the house if you don't want to. And if you want to know how to prepare, just have a look at the vacancy notice. Again, we have it all stipulated there. How can you, what should you be preparing for?
So in that document, there is a part that is written test, and there you get a bit more on what topics you will be tested. Okay.
Indeed. And talking about testing, so we also would recommend to test the platform. So we use an online platform. Please test it beforehand. There is the opportunity to do so and even an invitation to do so. It's on your own responsibility to do so, but we really recommend it as it will help not to be stressed on the moment itself of the written test, that you at least are familiar with the tool.
And are you able to choose at what time you have the test?
Yes, there is flexibility, and this will also then be explained on which dates that you can potentially choose from. And maybe a last thing about the written test is that it both tests theoretical knowledge, but it also can be a very hands-on assignment. We were talking about drafting expert opinions, so it could be that you get let's say a 2-pager to read, and that we then ask that, okay, draft your expert opinion here in 1 or 2 pages and tell us what would be your proposed way forward. So that could be a way to test your skills there.
Yeah, very clear, I think. Thanks. Should we move to the interview?
And then the interview, again, you will receive an invitation from us, so that should clarify the most elements of it. The booking of the interview is done on a first-come, first-served basis. So we give you at one point the open slots. You can book it according to your calendar, but of course, the sooner you book, the more opportunities you have to choose and to match with your own calendar. The interview is usually around 30 to 45 minutes. It's with a panel of 3 to 4 people asking questions, also representing the staff committee and an HR professional. And also there we have a lot of elements in place to ensure equal treatment, for example, and to make sure that the process is transparent.
Yeah, so that the process is fair as well, no?
Absolutely.
That evaluation. And is it a structure as well, interview, or how
Indeed,
do you...
we ask all, for example, this is one of the elements how we ensure equal treatment, is by actually using the same question set for every candidate. So there's a good comparability and that everyone is treated in the same fair way. Yes.
Okay. And how, in the interview, what are they looking for?
Yes.
Is a lot about experience?
Of course, the experience is an element touched upon, but I think we already at that stage had the written test, we had the the CV, so we know already quite a lot about you. So in that sense, the interview is really more about us asking to show your personality and be your authentic self. Show how you match also our organization and our values. So how do you match these? So we check if you are a match, and it's also an opportunity for you to match that. Do I match this organization? Does this is this organization in line with my values and where I want to go in life? And in that sense, I also always want to invite candidates to think about, do you have any questions for us? Because we will have a lot of questions for you, for sure, in the interview. But it could be good to think that, what do I want to know before committing to starting to work in this organization? So think about that. We will always foresee some time in the interview to go into that.
Wow, that's quite nice to leave that time as well for the candidate to experience and to get to know a bit more on the post and the organization. Well,
exactly, we do our best.
Good. Very good. Okay, do we have another? I think that's most of the tips. I don't know if you want to wrap up with a general tip.
Well,
for
maybe
them?
the tip would be if you have any element that we have not covered now, there is the Slido still. Put your question in the Slido and we'll be happy to reply to it later. I will still be there to answer your questions.
Perfect. So I think then it's time to move to the next topic.
Yes.
And the next topic is the traineeships. And we have our colleague Anya, who will be presenting you a bit what is the application process of the traineeships and what we offer in that regard. So now,
Hi, I'm Anya Keniewicz from ECHA's HR, and I'm very proud to be working at ECHA since 2010, and I am a traineeship coordinator for about 9 years now. I really enjoy working with people. From my picture, you can already see as well that I like feeding marmots in beautiful Swiss Alps, as I am a passionate Switzerland lover. However, I am as well the biggest EU fan, and that's why I would like to talk to you about our traineeship program here at ECHA. You can gain practical experience in our multicultural environment with 28 different nationalities and a lot of new trainees being in the same boat with you. You will not be alone. And believe me, you won't be just observing, you will be contributing to real projects from day one. Around 1 month before joining ECHA, you will have the opportunity to connect with future trainees and current trainees to ask some practical questions, create the WhatsApp group to stay in touch, exchange accommodation ideas, or meet up for the first time. You can learn and build a valuable professional network that will benefit you for years to come, and be sure that you will get a true experience in working within the international environment. You will profit as well from our mentor buddy program, a colleague who will guide you throughout your traineeship, supporting you on a daily basis with hints and tips. We are welcoming you from all different study fields like chemistry, finance, toxicology, human resources, or IT. You don't need to be a scientist to have your traineeship with us. Our traineeships last 6 months, starting 1st of March, giving you the opportunity to experience the white nights in the summer, and on 1st of September, allowing you to have a taste of cold winter and maybe even visiting Lapland and Santa Claus. And I would like to point out that there is no possibility to extend the duration of the traineeships. If it is about the eligibility criteria, minimum bachelor's degree is required, sufficient level of English, as this is our working language, and you should be ideally a citizen of EU or EEA countries, and you cannot have more than 8 weeks of any kind of working experience in any other EU agency or institution. But let's talk about money. We have a competitive traineeship grant of around 1,670 euros, and we reimburse your travel costs at the beginning and at the end of a traineeship, if you will move from a distance of more than 200 kilometers from Helsinki. And now, a few words about accommodation. To help you find a place to stay, we offer you a list of websites and Facebook groups where you will be able to find something suitable. Most of the websites are as well in English. Please, however, be aware of scammers. Trainees do not belong to ECHA's health insurance schemes. So when joining us, you should make sure that your insurance covers you in case of sickness or accidents. The European health insurance card is always a great option, and you can also opt for a private insurance company during your traineeship. Let's talk about some highlights of the traineeship. The working time is 40 hours a week, and we have a hybrid working arrangements, which means that you can work 2 days from the office and the remaining 3 days you can work from home, but here in Helsinki area. To take the most of the short 6 months, I do strongly recommend coming to the office as often as possible. We also have a very active staff club here that organizes activities like floorball, dancing, or yoga. And at ECHA, we have a free access to the gym, so you will be able to pump up those muscles before the work, during the lunch break, or even after the work. Did I wake your curiosity to join us? Then here are a few tips on how to apply and how to make your application more attractive. We publish our traineeship vacancies around mid-March till mid-April for traineeships starting in September, or around mid-September till mid-October for traineeships starting in March. Visit our webpage and apply for open traineeship posts of your interest and suitable skills before the deadline. Please don't leave the application for the last moment, as it needs to be submitted before the closing time. In the application, indicate information on your education. Describe your work experience in some sentences. Take your time especially to fill in the motivation part, as this is what will distinguish you from other applicants and increase your chances of getting the post. Hopefully, you will be invited to the Teams interview and after that selected for the traineeship of your interest. Remember, your application is your business card. Let us know why you should be our next trainee. Please remember as well to subscribe to our newsletter on open vacancies found on ECHA's webpage. Thank you and see you around.
Okay, so now we are ready for the next section, that is a panel discussion. Thank you, Anya, for the presentation on the traineeships. So we have here with us Anna, Jose, Astrid, Demian. They are current trainees, and also Jose and Astrid, they are former trainees that are currently working here in ECHA as statutory staff. And I think I don't want to introduce you. I think it's best if it comes from you to hear a bit your background and what are you really doing now here at ECHA with us. So Anna, if you could start.
Hi, I'm Anna. I am from Germany. I studied political communications in my master, and now I'm working in the communications unit, and I'm focusing on social media right now.
Okay, Jose.
Okay, yeah. So hi, my name is Jose, and I actually graduated from university on 2021, came here as a trainee on 2022, if I recall. And after a few years of working, I started here as a statutory staff maybe a few weeks ago. And I am working actually as a support for the risk assessment and socioeconomic assessment committees.
Okay.
Hello everyone, I'm Astrid, I'm from Spain, and I studied political science many years ago when I graduated. Then I started as a trainee here in 2020 in the data availability unit, and that is where I work now as a permanent staff on the part of ECHA, so making data available.
Hi everyone, I'm Damian. I'm from the Netherlands and I recently graduated from my university in the area of chemistry and toxicology. And that also means that I am in which we call the D1 unit, and it's the biocides active unit. So we're looking at, for instance, hand sanitizers, or if you spray your garden with certain pesticides or herbicides, then my team will dive into, is it even safe for the EU market? And my tasks are to support them in doing this.
Okay. Quite a variety of different roles. Thanks for joining. And I'm curious, I felt enthusiasm when you present your tasks. And what makes you really enjoying the experience? What are you especially enjoying?
If I can start?
Yeah.
So what I really like here is that you actively join them in things. So I immediately was part of big meetings, and they actively asked me to, hey, can you maybe take the minute? We would love you to get some hands-on experience. And if you don't understand, that's okay, just ask, but try it. And I love that.
Yeah. What kind of meeting that you say, big meeting, you say?
So it was a meeting where they were discussing some biocidal active products with all the EU countries. So I was in a meeting with all the countries of the EU, and then one by one they were allowed to say something, and I was just taking notes of what they were saying.
Wow, that's impressive. Nice to hear that you were already there.
I can really relate to what he just said. When you are a trainee here at ECHA, you are really trusted from the first day with tasks that you are able to own and that you are able to put your touch on. So that's really something that I valued when I was a trainee.
But at the same time, you still have a team behind you. You can always reach out to them when you need help. They're there to listen to you and even asking for your suggestions, but even helping you when you have questions.
Okay, nice to hear that we encourage you and give you a bit of confidence to go ahead. Yes, Jose.
Yeah, maybe just to enrich these other answers, I think that when I was a trainee, I actually was part of the team. It was not only me being a trainee, but I had my own responsibilities and I had my own tasks and initiatives in the projects that were wherever I was. Like, for example, when I was a trainee in ECHA, there was these questions and answers tool and database that were being created. So I actually contributed to this database and the user interface, and they are actually still visible in ECHA.
Wow, feel proud.
Yep.
Okay, anything else that you enjoy? How is the group of trainees? And
I really enjoy it. We were 28 people starting together, and it's very nice that so many people are coming together. We're all new in Helsinki. We all have a new country to explore. So everyone is very open to make new friends, to go out with people, to go on trips, and even helping each other out. We help people moving. So we're one big team.
Yeah, and it is maybe a bit of a challenge in the beginning because what you said, we're in a new country, so it can be a bit scary, but luckily we have each other to help us here. We have a running club with the trainees together. We go out for drinks. Some people have been visiting Tallinn, or people going to Lapland together. And yeah, you'll never be alone at all. You might be a bit more alone than you're used to, but you have some people to fall back on.
And we even have some Finns who are trainees, so they give us the insights of the Finnish life. We've been to hockey games, they organize it, and they integrate quite well as well into the international bubble.
Okay, good to hear. And I like that you mentioned the challenges. Let's go with that a bit. What are the challenges? What is difficult here, and what helps you?
Well, for example, when I started as a trainee, it was just during the pandemic, and that was a challenging part of the traineeship itself, because that meant for me that I would work with people that I didn't see at all.
Yeah.
And I was completely alone in the office during the first weeks because I was the only one coming here. Luckily, it has improved over the years. I think that I feel very proud of the measures that we have taken in the last years to do this hybrid setting, where we can actually choose between being at home or being at the office, and that really helps the social part of the work.
Yeah, maybe I can continue from there. Many of the tasks or the issues that we are trying to figure out, they are massive, and there are complex issues that nobody can solve by themselves. But at the same time, I have seen that you can be part of this solution and you can actually give your own input to these solutions, and you can actually figure out with your own effort some things that can actually help us all.
Yeah, okay.
We mentioned this thing that we're very trusted and we get our own responsibilities. So that can be challenging as well, especially in the beginning when they're having to learn new tools, new tasks. But the thing that's actually helping is the whole team, and it's not only you have a supervisor, which doesn't feel like a supervisor, it feels more like a buddy. It feels like someone you can just approach. But it's not only them, you can actually approach everyone in the team, even people who are maybe not in your team, and just go there and ask them, just go over and just interrupt them. It's hey, I need help on this. Can you help me out with it?
And maybe to add on that, so for instance, the mentor we have, they will actively try to invite you to certain meetings, but sometimes someone from your team will just walk up to you and like, I think this will be a really learning point for you. Please join this meeting. And I think after this meeting, you will understand what we're actually doing here. Because when you just come out of university, a lot of things that we're doing here are very new and sometimes a bit difficult to get it at the first try or by just reading it. Sometimes you just need to experience it, and by experience it, you can overcome so much of the difficulties that, and then they just take you along and you just sit there beside them and be like, hey, what am I doing here? What are you talking about?
Just observe this one, just observe it. It's worth it.
Yeah, and especially for the people who are not like chemistry people, it's nice we have like the lunch hours where they explain you more stuff and more easy way of the chemistry. So I'm not coming from chemistry, I'm a communications person, but they explain you in very easy ways what's going on here, what's the topics and what are we working on.
Yeah, for the audience to know, we have lunch hours presentations from time to time. Almost every week there is some topic, so different experts from the organization are presented their area of work, their developments, or sharing some knowledge. So it's quite a useful way also for you, the trainees, to attend them. Yeah. Okay, I'm just conscious a bit of the time, so I think I'll ask, what is an advice that you can give to those who are wondering if apply or joining a traineeship program with us?
My advice would be to be open-minded. When you are trying to apply for a traineeship, I understand that the tendency is that you go and find for things related to your academic background, perhaps. But if you are interested in something that is not related to your academic background, just go for it, because you can learn many, many things, and it only boosts your CV.
Very good advice.
And maybe if you are still doubting, I know the vacancies can be a bit vague, but feel free to reach out to people at ECHA. Go to LinkedIn. Send a message like, hey, I saw you were a trainee a few years ago. What does that actually mean? Reach out to the current trainees. What does a day of yours look like? So you get a bit of an idea of what to expect. And I think that helped me because I was very doubting on what to do. And I just reached out to a former trainee, and that took away most of my doubts, I would say. Yeah. And I felt confident enough to apply.
My advice would be, you can always tell people what you want to do. You can shape your own traineeship. They will ask you, what is the stuff you're curious about? What is the stuff you really want to learn? So it's not only they're telling you what to do, but when you're saying, like, for example, oh, I'm really interested in podcasts, I want to learn how that works, they will make it possible. They will put you in that team, so you can start with that.
And yours?
Yeah. Just apply and see where it takes you,
Very good one. Simple one, but right to the point. So I think we will now leave it here for this discussion. Thank you very much for sharing your experience. And I think we want to hear, and I have heard we have many questions in Slido from all of you, so thank you for submitting. And I welcome to join us as well, Joachim and Istvan, to have a Q&A with the audience.
Thank you so much for having us back, Lucia. And first of all, let me start with, after listening to all of you guys with your trainee experience, I'm just jealous that I've never been an ECHA trainee. I wish I could be, but unfortunately, I've been working here longer than it's allowed to apply for an ECHA traineeship. All right, so let's get started with the questions. We have already received quite many questions. Some of my colleagues who have been working hard and behind the scenes have already been answering them throughout the event. But there are still many which have not been answered, neither as part of a presentation nor by some of my colleagues. But in any case, if you still have questions, you are still allowed to submit them. Here's the QR code again on the screen. You can just scan that and then submit your questions. But let's take the first one. And I think this is going to go to one of the current or former trainees, but maybe let's go with one of the current ones because they are the ones closest to it right now. So is the grant of 1,600 euros, sorry, my screen just refreshed, but yeah, the question was it enough to support expenses during the traineeship?
I would say yes. So we got support for like finding housing here. So we got a list where we can reach different options, and it's enough to like survive in Helsinki. Helsinki is a little bit more expensive than maybe other European countries, but you can have like a room with it, and you get enough food for it, and you can even have some fun after work hours with it.
It's great that our trainees are not starving.
And maybe it's also nice to mention Helsinki is a place where you can cycle a lot. Maybe not during the winter, then you might slip, but during the summer you can especially do that. So you can save on some money as well by just going with the bike.
Actually, about the cycling through the winter, you can also get winter tires for your bike, even some with spikes, so it works very nicely on the ice also. But moving on to the next one, I'm going to ask this from Joachim. It's still about the traineeships, but more about the HR side of it. Is it okay to apply for multiple traineeships at a time, or can someone only apply to one specific position?
Yes, and I think that's a good question, and we hadn't answered it yet. So absolutely, we actually recommend it. So if you are interested in various fields, why not also indicate that? Because it might be that your scientific expertise is somewhere in between the open vacancies. So in that sense, you can really target your applications and say that this is where I'm interested in. So yes, we have often that people or candidates apply for various roles, and then we see where they best fit, and they can do interviews then for also multiple units. So, and I see some nodding here, so maybe that even happened for the colleagues here.
That's
on
what
the
I
bench.
did, yes.
Okay.
Same for me. I applied for multiple, and I had a meeting with multiple people representing multiple units, and then they asked me, what would you prefer most? And then I said what I would prefer most, and they were like, we're going to look what fits best with you.
Mm-hmm. That's very nice. Picking another question that has not been yet replied by my colleagues, and that goes again to Joachim. How many candidates usually make it to the reserve list?
Well, this really depends, I must say. So first of all, we indicate on the vacancy notice the number of expected candidates to make it to the reserve list. So there you already have a bit of an indication. So it usually is a figure between, let's say, 5 and 15, I would say, depending on the profile we're specifically looking for. But then, of course, it really depends on the process, on the number of candidates that we have. And sometimes we have, more suited candidates. So we're not being, and that's maybe also important to know that if the vacancy notice indicates, let's say, expected number of people on the reserve list 8, and we have 10 or 12 fantastic candidates, we would not say that, okay, let's limit it to 8. No, then we put 12 people on the reserve list. So in that sense, don't be deterred by that number to say that, okay, what are my chances to get in this top 8? Just apply and make sure you shine, and then we will hopefully place you on the reserve list.
To some extent, the chances with 8 are already much better than when companies are looking for one person.
Absolutely. So that's why, again, the benefit of a reserve list versus a specific targeted selection. Yes.
Yeah. Picking the next one, as you discussed eligibility criteria for statutory staff, is there a citizenship requirement for traineeship?
Here it's a bit more nuanced. So in principle, yes. So the first target audience for our traineeships is as well EU citizenship or European Economic Area. So also inviting then Iceland, Liechtenstein and Norway citizens to also apply. However, we can make exceptions if we feel that for a certain expertise we wouldn't find within the EU or EEA suitable candidates. So in that sense, we leave it open. So you can apply, but there's no, let's say, assurance, because we would, in the first batch, always look first at the EU and EEA candidates. I hope that clarifies it a bit, yes.
Thank you. Then the next highlighted question would be, what is the best way for a recent Master of Science graduate to find a job at ECHA? Are there any entry-level positions here? I don't know if it's Joachim or Lucia. Which one of you would like to reply this one?
Happy to take this one, and then I hope we can pass on some questions to the other colleagues here as well, who are anxiously waiting to reply. That yes, we do have entry-level roles from time to time, so sometimes we announce it more clearly than other times, but in any case, I would say just take your chances. So it's, of course, if we require, let's say, if in the requirement, or what I referred to earlier, the eligibility criteria, if it says 3 years of work experience, then no need to apply because that's the minimum. But in other cases, yeah, you will see that there's an indication that there's not this need, and then for sure we would say apply. Of course, know that you are competing from time to time with people with many years of experience, so we also just want to be realistic in creating expectations there. So the process is hard, and you're fighting qualified other colleagues and candidates there, but nevertheless, again, don't be deterred. We are looking for qualified people, for good people to join our organization, so don't let it scare you away.
All right, so let's pick the next question. I guess to some extent you guys have already covered it in the panel discussions, but what advice would you have for students applying for ECHA traineeship?
I guess, once again, reach out to people if you want to know more. And I think multiple of us mentioned it as well. Just apply. There's multiple trainees. I think we started with 28, but that's not even the limit. I think the limit is even higher than that. So try it out, reply to some of the positions and see how far you get.
And I think I would add, reflect on your motivation. Why do you want to join ECHA? And be able to express it. So in the interview, you can show really what really activates you to look for a traineeship here.
Not this year, but a couple of years ago, I was part of the selection who were picking our team's next trainee. And indeed, most of the time, the applicants are fresh out of university. So they do not necessarily have years of experience in the field. In most cases, they have close to none, whatever internships they have done throughout their studies. So what we're actually looking for is actually the motivation part of the application. That's where you can really express why you would like to work here, why you feel that you would be the best fit to this organization. And I see Anna would like to complement this.
Show your personality as well. They're looking for people who are fun in the team, who can complement the team as well. So show them who you are.
Great. Let's see. So question is, I would like to ask, what are the opportunities for the work and school for family members? Are there any European schools, for example? Maybe this one goes back to Joachim again.
Yes, indeed. There is a European school quite close to ECHA, I might even say. I think it's within a radius of 1 kilometer, if I'm not wrong. So in that sense, yes, very close. And there are, of course, also facilities. We also try to give some, let's say, additional information also for the spouses and so on to ensure that you can come here with your family. So we are conscious that it's not just one person we're recruiting. Often we're talking about a family situation. So there are also, and you can find this on our website, several allowances and so on in place to ensure that you can comfortably come here with your family and live in the happiest country in the world.
Great. Well, I guess that is going to be the last question that we are taking during this event today. So let's take a quick look at the poll. How would you rate the event? We got, it disappeared. So maybe my colleagues can put the poll back. Well, or not.
There it comes.
Yeah.
Yes. There it is.
Yes. Well, we got a very nice score, so thank you so much for that. If you 77% of you gave us 5 stars, so I'm gonna take that. That's a very good one. I think we did a decent job today. And then let's move on to wrapping up this event. So if we can get back to the slides. Then we would like to thank you for joining us today. We hope you all found it useful. You learned something new. We have provided you, hopefully, very useful information, useful tips and techniques to apply to ECHA. And then here are a few messages to finish the event. So our traineeship applications are open now, as it has been mentioned multiple times throughout the event. Make sure to not miss out on them. Go and check out all the fields that we offer traineeship starting in the autumn. If you haven't already done, please give us feedback through the Slido. Again, the QR code is on the screen, so you can scan it and provide us feedback on the event. If you would like to rewatch the event, because it was absolutely fantastic, it will very soon be available on our YouTube channel, so you can go there and watch it again. Or if there's actually someone else, one of your friends or family members who's interested in learning about ECHA and working at ECHA, again, you guys can just go to our YouTube channel and you can rewatch the event. And last, to finish the event, all the questions that we have not been able to answer throughout the live event today will be answered, and then we will publish the Q&A on our event page on the ECHA website. So if you go to echa.europa.eu and then search for the events, there you will find the published documents soonish, in a couple days probably. So with that, I would like to thank you so much for your attention, and then that was it. We're saying goodbye to you from Helsinki and hope to see you with us soon enough. Goodbye.